And she's finally here. Yinlin is probably the most anticipated character from Wuthering Waves since we first heard of her. In this video, we will cover her whole kit, best echoes, weapons, teams, and how to play. Yinlin is a 5-star Electro Rectifier user that can fit either in the sub DPS or main DPS role. She shines the best in a sub DPS role in a quick swap team configuration, and we'll see why in a bit.
Zapstream, it's our showtime.
Yinlin's basic attack are a sequence of 4 AoE attacks that do multiple hits and apply a sinner mark to the enemies, but I'll just call it the purple mark throughout this whole video. This mark will disappear if Yinlin leaves the field. Every enemy hit by basic attacks will be connected to each other through a string from her puppet, Zapstring. Yinlin's resonance skill can be cast 2 times. On the first cast, Zapstring will deal AoE damage and Yinlin will enter the execution mode for 10 seconds. During this mode, Yinlin's next 4 basic attacks or evasion attacks will activate electromagnetic blasts, which are these electro-coordinated attacks. The purple marks will become red during the execution mode. That's not a different mark, it's just a visual indication that the mode is active and that you still have coordinated attacks to use. If you already use the 4 coordinated attacks, the marks will become purple again. The second cast of the skill will also cause AoE damage and will end the execution mode. The interesting thing here is that all enemies connected by the puppet's strings will get hit by the coordinated attacks, even if they are far away. Yinlin's Resonance Liberation is an AoE damage dealing ability that hits 7 times and has a high damage scaling. This will also apply the purple mark to the enemy's hit. Yinlin's Forte Circuit bar is charged every time she deals basic attacks or resonance skill damage. That counts for the first and second casts and also for the coordinated attacks. Once the bar is full, you can do a heavy attack to deal massive AoE damage and change the purple marks to this very big triangle mark called Punishment Mark that lasts for 18 seconds. This mark is different than the others because it won't disappear when Yinlin leaves the field. Every time an enemy hit with this mark is attacked, Yinlin will deal a coordinated attack even if she's not on the field. This can be triggered once per second. But the cool thing is, if you attack only one enemy with the mark, every enemy that has it will get hit too. This is the core of Yinlin's kit, and it means you can basically turn any character that has only single target damage to be an AoE damage dealer. Something that is not written in the descriptions of her skills but I learned while playing her is that you don't have to hit all the enemies with the special Forte heavy attack for them to get the punishment mark, the triangle mark. If they are connected to each other by the strings and you hit only one of them, all of them will get the punishment mark. The special heavy attack can have its animation cancelled, so we're gonna see how to make good use of it later in the video. For the intro skill, Yinlin will kick Zapstring to deal AoE electro damage and apply the purple mark on enemies. Yinlin's outro skill is probably the most broken one so far. It's where her sub DPS and support abilities comes in. The next character to enter the field will get 20% electro damage bonus and 25% resonance liberation bonus for 14 seconds or until they leave the field. That is, well, insane. The buff is indicated by this mark on the next resonator. Yinlin's first inherent skill will increase her crit rate by 15% for 5 seconds after using the first cast of the resonance skill. It sounds like 5 seconds is too less, but in reality that is enough to do her whole rotation. This is awesome because it can save you some headache while grinding for crit rate substats on echoes. The second inherent skill will increase the damage of the second cast of the resonance skill to enemies with the purple mark, and also buff Yinlin's attack for 10% for 4 seconds. Yinlin's stat bonuses will give her 8% crit rate and 12% attack when maxed out. The skill priority should be Forte Circuit, Basic Attack, Resonance Skill, Resonance Liberation, and Intro Skill. The inherent skills should be unlocked as soon as they are available, and the crit rate stat bonuses should be unlocked before the attack ones. If you're using Yinlin as a main DPS, you may put the basic attack first on the list, then Forte Circuit, Resonance Skill, Resonance Liberation, and Intro Skill. Yinlin already feels very complete and broken with no sequences, but let's see how this can improve her. For sequence 1, the first and second cast of the resonance skill will deal 70% more damage. For For sequence 2, the coordinated attacks of the resonance skill will recover additional Forte Circuit bar points and resonance energy. For sequence 3, the coordinated attacks caused by the triangle mark will get its damage multiplier increased by 55%. For sequence 4, every time the coordinated attacks caused by the triangle mark hits a target, the attack of the whole team will be increased by 20% for 12 seconds, and this has no cooldown. For sequence 5, the Resonance Liberation will deal 100% extra damage for targets with either the purple or the triangle mark. For sequence 6, Yinlin will be able to trigger a new type of coordinated attack for 30 seconds after using Resonance Liberation. They are triggered by her basic attacks and can be triggered up to 4 times, similar to how the Resonance skill works. These coordinated attacks have an incredible damage scaling though. Honestly, her sequences only start to get good after the third one, so if you're not going all in, I wouldn't recommend trying for the first and the second one because they are not that big of a deal. Stopping on S3 or S4 already makes your Yinlin a beast. Yinlin has a good variety of weapons to use, but depending on the way you plan on using her, it can change. The first and obvious option is her signature weapon, String Master. This weapon will not only give you an incredible amount of crit rate, but also 12% electro damage and 24% attack after casting the skill for 2 times, and an additional 12% when Yinlin leaves the field. So that's 36% attack in total. This will always be the best option for her sub DPS role. If you're planning on using her as a main DPS with more field time, the standard banner Rectifier Cosmic Ripples is another good option. It will give you more basic attack damage, which is a huge part of her kit. Considering that as 1.0 we didn't reach level 45 yet, you can easily choose this from the box we'll get. The downside of this weapon is that you have to grind harder for crit rate stats, which can be a pain. The third option will be the Battle Pass Rectifier Augment. It gives you good crit rate and the weapon effect works well with Yinlin in both of her roles. Jingzhou Keeper is an option if you don't have any of the rectifiers already mentioned. The HP buff of the weapon is kinda wasted with Yinlin, but the fact that this is a rate up on her weapon banner makes it a good choice for free-to-play players. If you don't have any of the rectifiers recommended yet, go for the craftable rectifier number 25 or the 3-star Guardian rectifier. Yinlin's echo sets will vary according to how you plan on using her. If you're going for the most obvious role as a sub DPS, you have 2 options. You can either go for the 5-piece Void Thunder or the 5-piece Moonlit Cloud. Honestly, in a sub DPS role, it kinda doesn't matter who is doing the most amount of damage because it's a team effort, but if you want to see higher damage on Yinlin, go for the Void Thunder 5-piece. If you don't care that much and you just want to support your next Resonator in the team, the 5-piece Moonlit Cloud is great. I would say go for the set you have better substats. A temporary option for these sets is using 2-piece Lingering Tunes and 2-piece Void Thunder. If you're planning on using Yinlin as a main DPS with more field time, you can go for the 5-piece Lingering Tunes, but you will fall behind the 5-piece Void Thunder a bit because you waste the 60% outro skill damage increase from this set since her outro skill is just a buff. Yinlin uses a 4-3-3-1-1 echo setup. For the 4-cost echo, you should go for crit rate or crit damage depending on what weapon you're using. If it's her signature weapon, go for crit damage, and if it's an attack or energy regen weapon, go for crit rate. For the 3-cost echoes, you should go for double electro damage. Going for electro damage and attack percent is also not bad, but consider what other sources of elemental damage and attack you're getting from your weapon, teammates, and echo set. In general, double electro is better overall. And for the 1-cost echoes, go for attack percent. For the main echo, you will go for the Tempest Mephis if you're running the Void Thunder. Keep in mind that this is not the same as Thundering Mephis. They look very similar and both are 4 costs of the Void Thunder set. But the Thundering Mephis echo ability is pretty clunky and can't be cancelled like the Tempest Mephis. If you're going for the Moonlit Cloud, you're fine with either the Impermanence Heron or the Big Turtle. It really depends which echo skill you feel more comfortable with, but both are cancelable and gives good value to the team. And if you're running 5-piece Lingering Tunes, your only option is the Mech Abomination anyways. Just be aware to use the echo skill before starting the rotation, so you make good use of the buffs it provides. Yinlin can make good use of many substats, so it can be kinda confusing. In general, the first priority will be crit rate and crit damage for both the sub DPS and main DPS roles. The second number on the list will be different for each role. For sub DPS, attack percent, flat attack, and ER are the best, and for main DPS, basic attack percent, and flat attack. If you're not too try hard, any of these will be good for both roles. After that, resonance skill and liberation damage are good as well. Because Yinlin buffs electro damage with her outro skill, her best teammates will always be other electro characters. As of 1.1, Calcharo will be the best option to pair her with. They pair each other really perfectly. Not only Yinlin will buff Calcharo's electro damage, but she will also buff his liberation damage, which is the main source of his power. For this team, any sustain character will do, but Verena will do the best since she can take the overall buffs of the team to an even better state. Yangwu is another great choice for Yinlin and also the best free-to-play option since he's free. He will make good use of Yinlin's whole kit. In short, Yinlin can be actually paired with any other main DPS in the game, and I mean really anyone. Her own damage on field and off field will provide good value to almost any situation, even if you're not making use of the electro bonus buff from her outro skill. Because her forte can deal coordinated attacks out of the field every time the enemies are hit, characters with multiple and fast hits are always a good pair. For example, Jianxin, Xixia, Dunjin, and hell, even Jian. You should play her as you want, but she will always have a premium spot when paired with another electro unit. If you're watching this video in the future, yes, she will also be good with this new electro character that my current self is not aware of. Yinlin's base rotation is really simple. Independent of the team you put her in, the base rotation is switch in, resonance skill, and immediately cancel the animation with the liberation if it's available. This will guarantee that you make good use of the inherent skill crit rate for the ultimate. Follow with 4 basic attacks to trigger the coordinated attacks, second cast of the resonance skill, heavy attack to activate forte and apply the triangle marks, cancel the animation switching into the next character. Make sure everyone is connected with the strings before using the forte heavy attack. The heavy attack from her forte circuit is 100% animation cancelable. Just hold it for a while and cancel with other animation like liberation or preferably switching to another character, and Yinlin will still apply the triangle marks to everyone. Because of that, you can also make a variation of the rotation where you do resonance skill, 4 basic attacks, second cast of resonance skill, heavy attack to activate forte, and cancel with the ultimate. When using Yinlin as a main DPS, the rotation will vary a lot depending on who you're pairing her with. Basically, you stay more in the field even after using the heavy attack to apply the triangle marks, and you will proc the coordinated attacks yourself. That will be it for Yinlin's guide. Let me know in the comments if she is everything you hoped for, and also which character should I cover next here on the channel. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.